Okay, thank you very much, Pascal, for this introduction. I am very pleased to be here today and very pleased to be part of the first Eyes Up in Israel. I've done many others, but I was very glad to be here for the first one in Israel. So I'm going to try and give you my point of view from an industry point of view, I think is the first one this morning, on how maybe you can build a new system-wide risk management strategy. I don't have the solution. I might be a little bit provocative. I've worked in this field for over 25 years, and I may be going to shake all what's been said this morning, but trying to give a little bit of history to start. So pharmacovigilance has been constantly evolving in terms of regulatory and technology requirements addressed through legislation, through guidelines, template. The aim is to have a better risk management providing patient safety. So just ICH, first publication of the first guideline in 2004, and then it was a proactive risk management that was put in place. Just after in the US was implemented the risk minimization action plans, and just followed behind Europe, November 2005, the first European risk management strategy has been addressed in the guideline. And just a year later, developed with the provision of a European risk management plan template. So what do we want to address in risk management? First of all, it's a set of pharmacovigilance activity and intervention designed to identify, characterize, and present or minimize the risk related to medicinal products, including assessment of effectiveness of these interventions. What we want to do, we all want to ensure the benefit of a particular medicine or a series of medicine, and we want them to exceed the risk by greatest achievable margin for an individual patient, but also for a population as a whole. And the risk management plan is just a description of the risk management system. So what are the principles? First of all, we're going to identify the risk through various clinical studies, marketing data, literature. We're going to characterize and monitor the risk. We're going to put in place a minimization plan. And then behind, we're going to try and measure the efficiency. And the benefit-risk balance must be positive at the time where you grant your market authorization. And then you'll have to maintain that once the drug is on the market. But in fact, and this is what the center of my talk, it's the risk management system is a market authorization holder regulatory requirement that's discussed and endorsed by health authority. So we do have to identify risk, potential risk and misinformation. We have to do a pharmacovigilance plan, and we do routine pharmacovigilance practices in action to investigate those specific issues. We're going to put in place risk minimization plan, and we're going to try and measure that these activities are really well in place. But at the end of the day, how is all this communicated to the real world? The current tools the industry has actually are really, I would say, small. We do have that process that I call the regulatory process, and it's a discussion between health authority and pharma. And we're going to do beautiful stuff, all the different documents I told you. We write, we put them in place, we put label and product monographies, medical information, publication. We do have some kind of interaction with patient prescribers, but individually, we cannot talk to them. If we talk to them, it has to be onto a regulatory process. And so at the end of the day, we do a lot of things. Black box, Dear Healthcare Professional letters, medication guides, patient safety cards. I won't tell you all this. I mean, all what I've drafted here, we do that. We try and communicate all this. Then we try and see if all these documents are effective. But one day, and that was the head of the CHMP, told me one day, hey, Deborah, let's be a little bit provocative. When you buy a washing machine, do you really read the instruction? So why should it be different for drugs? And when you look at all this, all of us, each of us, we're trying to do all this to ensure patient safety and the safe use of drugs. But if you look individually, and we're talking about silo, each of us look at where are our area of competency. academia will do science. The prescriber wants to find time to give the right information to his prescribers. Hospital has got economic considerations to take into account. Pharma has also economic challenge, and we're striving to get some medicine that will meet unmet medical needs. And regulators are aware of public health and media. But at the end of the day, what does the patient want? The patient wants to know what is right for him. Are the choices that are making the good choices? And I see Irene presented a lot of stuff that's coming out that could help the patient. But he wants to know if he's thinking right about the pathology he has. And the only moment he has is when he's with his prescriber. And when you look at the real time that a prescriber will spend with his patient is more or less 10 minutes. And then the patient will say, well, I had a lot of questions and I didn't really have time because the prescriber, he's got other patients waiting and he really wants to go quick. So there's really a need for a patient-centered approach for decision making, and that takes into account the patient expectation, because most of the treatment decisions includes family members and other trusted advisor that the patient will listen to. The treatment information should be decision-friendly, and the advisor should understand the likely consequence of each alternative, and the preference of the patient should be respected. Just wanted to give you a little example I had in my life. I had the pleasure and displeasure of launching a drug when I was at Roche for Parkinson's disease, which is a fantastic drug that would enable the patient to live the full day with no problem and no trembling. At the same time, one of the competitors was issuing the same drug. The only advantage, it was at 2 hours autonomy during the day. Because of fulminant hepatitis, we had to withdraw the drug from the market. The patient were asking for our drug because they were saying, I prefer dying from fulminant hepatitis, which is a risk, and live the rest of my life the whole day well, than taking the other drug and only having 2 hours autonomy. So this is what I'm trying to say here. The expectation of patients is really important. And today, with all the new technology, the social network, the large media, the artificial intelligence, the world is changing. And there's a lot of information out there that the patient is going to go and look for. But how reliable is this information? I think that's where comes the problem. So I don't have the answer. What I know is that in all the regulatory process that I describe, I think that prescribing physician and patient should be part of the regulatory process, but not only. I'm talking about satellites, actors, and we've been talking about them this morning, media, lawyers, financial analysts. All these stakeholders should be part of the evaluation and reflect in consultation in a multidisciplinary way. I know it's not going to be easy, and I think there's lots of interference, but I believe that this is key to be more efficient tomorrow, and we have to sit together and try and find a better way. So in conclusion, the only thing I can say, we need to find a new model that has to be designed into a multidisciplinary approach where regulators, patient, prescriber, industry will evaluate, reflect, and establish all these regulatory documents and consultation. For sure, digital is future, going from volume to value, improved communication to prescriber and patient, and I saw lots of things that could be interesting. I think I was in a hospital last week, and he was telling me, Deborah, what I want is when I have a question, I want just to tick on a thing and I got the answer of my question. Because a lot of your letters that you send out, they go directly to the dustbin. So it's quicker, faster, simpler. I don't have the answer, but I think there's lots of technology there that we're going to hear. I hope they're going to help us. We've talked about transparency. I think that one of my major problems, I'm an AD, I'm a prescriber, I'm a physician, but I work for industry. And the fact that I work for industry, I mistrust. I'm not telling the truth. And sometimes you have people within the industry or medics who really believe that we're doing better for the patient. So we must and we can work together to trigger this new approach that I hope we'll discover together. So thank you very much.